Welcome to 12 Biblical Stories, Anthropomorphism, and Lessons of Faith. Meet Blacky, a charming bilingual cat with striking black and white fur, who resides in the vibrant South American city of Santiago de Cali. Blacky is not just any ordinary feline. He possesses a unique ability to blend the wisdom of the Bible with anthropomorphic tales. Living. He had boldly declared to the people that there would be no rain until God commanded it, and now he faced the consequences: widespread famine. But God had a plan to provide for his faithful servant. As Elijah sought refuge by the brook Cherith, God sent a pair of clever ravens on a special mission. These ravens, named Joshua and Rhea, were known for their resourcefulness and intelligence. As they soared through the sky, they discussed the importance of their task. "Did you hear what God asked us to do?" Joshua croaked, flapping his wings excitedly. "We're going to feed Elijah. Isn't that amazing?" Rhea nodded, her feathers glinting in the sunlight. "Yes, I admire Elijah so much. He's such a brave prophet. We must do our best to bring him the finest food we can find." With determination, the two ravens flew over fields and forests, searching for morsels to deliver to Elijah. They spotted ripe fruits, grains, and even the leftovers from a nearby feast. "Look at this feast we're gathering," Joshua exclaimed, his eyes gleaming with pride. "Elijah will be so grateful." As the sun rose each day, the ravens would swoop down to the brook, dropping the food right beside Elijah. At first the prophet was surprised, wondering where the food was coming from. But as the days went by, he realized that God was providing for him in this miraculous way. "Thank you, my feathered friends," Elijah would say, grateful for their efforts. "You are truly a blessing from the Lord." The ravens would caw in delight, feeling proud to be part of God's plan. Each day, as they delivered food, Joshua and Rhea chatted about how lucky they were to serve such a faithful prophet. "It feels good to help someone like Elijah," Rhea said. "He's always trusting God, even in tough times." "Exactly," Joshua replied. "We're not just delivering food, we're showing that God cares for his people in every situation. It's an honor to be chosen for this mission." Through the cleverness and loyalty of the ravens, Elijah learned to trust in God's provision, even when things seemed dire. And the ravens, in turn, found joy in their mission, knowing they played a vital role in God's plan. This story teaches us that no matter how impossible our circumstances may seem, God always provides for those who trust in him. Sometimes, help comes from the most unexpected places, and we should always be open to ways to serve and support one another. So, dear friends, let's take a lesson from Joshua and Rhea, the clever ravens. By being resourceful and willing to help others, we can be instruments of God's love and provision in the world. Story 6, The Fiery Furnace. I am now excited to share the sixth story in our journey through anthropomorphism and lessons of faith. Next, we'll dive into the incredible tale of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, three faithful friends who faced a fiery furnace for standing firm in their beliefs. But this time, we'll give a voice to the fiery furnace itself, adding a unique twist to the biblical story. In the great kingdom of Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar had erected a golden idol and commanded everyone to bow down and worship it. But three brave young men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, refused to worship anything but their God. The king, furious at their defiance, ordered that they be thrown into a fiery furnace, a punishment meant to instill fear in all who witnessed it. As the guards dragged the three friends toward the furnace, the flames flickered and roared, almost as if the furnace itself were coming to life. "How dare you defy me?" The furnace crackled, its fiery tongue lashing out with a menacing glow. "I will consume you for your disobedience." But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood resolutely, their faith unwavering. "We will not bow down," they declared, their voices strong and clear. "Our God can save us from your wrath, and even if he does not, we will never worship you." The furnace, boiling with rage, erupted in flames, its heat intense and fierce. "You think you can withstand my fire?" it hissed, flames dancing wildly. "I will turn you to ashes in an instant." Yet, as the friends were thrown into the furnace, something miraculous happened. Instead of being consumed, they found themselves walking in the midst of the flames, unharmed. The furnace, astonished and fuming, tried to burn them, but its fire could not touch their spirits. "Why aren't you burning?" the furnace screeched, its flames flickering in confusion. "This is impossible." Fourth figure walking alongside Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, a figure that looked like a son of the gods, radiating a divine light. "What is this?" the furnace gasped, realizing it could not defeat the power protecting the faithful friends. Outside the furnace, King Nebuchadnezzar watched in disbelief. "Did we not throw three men into the fire?" he asked his advisors. Look, I see 4 men walking unharmed, and the 4th looks like a divine being. Finally, the king called out to the 3 friends, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, come out of there. As they stepped out, not a hair on their heads was singed, and they did not smell of smoke. The furnace, once a symbol of fear, now stood humbled and silent. This incredible story reminds us that when we stand firm in our faith, even the fiercest challenges cannot harm us. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we can find strength in our beliefs, knowing that we are never alone, even in the most fiery trials. So my dear friends, let's embrace the courage of these 3 brave souls. No matter what challenges we face, with faith in our hearts, we can stand firm and trust that we are protected by a power greater than any fiery furnace. I watched as Goldie and HRH Liz III rose and moved away, whispering to each other. What is a furnace? Asked Goldie. Beats me, shrugged Liz. Story 7, The Good Samaritan. It is time for a personal favorite of mine since I was a small boy to explore the heartwarming parable of the Good Samaritan, a tale of compassion and kindness that transcends boundaries. We'll also meet 2 empathetic characters along the way. A gentle donkey and a wise panda, who witnessed the bravery and generosity of the Samaritan. Once, a traveler was making his way along a treacherous road from Jerusalem to Jericho. Unfortunately, he fell into the hands of robbers who attacked him, leaving him wounded and abandoned by the roadside. As he lay there, helpless and in pain, a donkey named Hannah and a well-traveled panda named Jacob happened to be passing by. Hannah, the donkey, was known for her kind heart and strong sense of justice. "Oh no, look at that poor man," she exclaimed, her ears perked up in concern. "Someone must help him." Jacob, the wise and well-traveled panda, nodded thoughtfully. "You're right, Hannah, but we must be careful. What if those robbers come back? We need to think this through." As they debated what to do, a priest came along the road. He saw the wounded traveler but chose to cross to the other side, avoiding the situation altogether. Hannah's heart sank. How could he just walk away? She whispered, shaking her head in disbelief. Next, a Levite approached. He too noticed the injured man but followed in the priest's footsteps, leaving without offering help. Jacob sighed. It's disheartening to see such indifference, but we can't give up hope just yet. Finally, a Samaritan traveled down the road. Unlike the others, he stopped when he saw the wounded man. Hannah's eyes brightened. Look, Jacob, this Samaritan is different, he's showing compassion. The Samaritan knelt beside the traveler, bandaging his wounds with oil and wine, and lifted him onto his donkey. I will take you to an inn and care for you, he promised, demonstrating kindness that knew no boundaries. Jacob watched in awe. What a brave and selfless act. He's putting the needs of this stranger before his own, he said, his heart swelling with admiration. As they reached the inn, the Samaritan paid for the traveler's care and promised to return to check on him. Hannah felt inspired. This Samaritan is a true hero. He has shown that kindness knows no race or background. Jacob nodded in agreement. Exactly. This story teaches us that we should help those in need, regardless of our differences. Empathy and compassion are what truly unite us. The parable of the Good Samaritan reminds us that love and kindness should always guide our actions. Our character is not defined by who we are or where we come from but by how we treat others. So, dear anthropomorphic friends, let's take a lesson from the Samaritan, Hannah and Jacob. In a world that sometimes seems indifferent, we can be the ones who extend a hand, show compassion, and make a difference in the lives of others. Together, let's embody the spirit of the Good Samaritan and spread kindness wherever we go. Story 8, Jonah and the Whale. Here's another favorite story of mine from the Bible, one that many of us cherish from our early years, the story of Jonah and the whale. This tale of adventure and transformation teaches us about obedience, compassion, and the importance of embracing our calling. Let's dive into the depths of the sea with Jonah and the wise, gentle whale. Once, God called upon a prophet named Jonah to deliver a message to the city of Nineveh. However, Jonah was afraid and didn't want to go, so he decided to flee in the opposite direction. He boarded a ship, hoping to escape God's command. Little did he know that his journey was about to take a surprising turn. As the ship sailed, a mighty storm arose, tossing the vessel about like a toy. The sailors panicked, calling out to their gods for help. In the midst of the chaos, Jonah realized that the storm was his doing, a consequence of his attempt to run away from God. He confessed to the sailors, "Throw me overboard, and the storm will cease." With no other choice, the sailors reluctantly tossed Jonah into the raging sea. As soon as he hit the water, the storm calmed, but Jonah found himself sinking deeper and deeper into the ocean's depths. Just as he thought all hope was lost, a great fish, a wise and gentle whale, swam up to him and swallowed him whole. Inside the whale's belly, Jonah found himself in darkness, surrounded by seaweed and the sound of the ocean. He realized that he couldn't escape his fate. "I've made a mistake," he thought. "I should have listened to God." As Jonah sat in reflection, the whale spoke softly, its voice echoing in the watery chamber. "Dear Jonah," it said, "you have a purpose to fulfill. Your journey may not be easy, but it is important. Compassion and obedience are the keys to understanding your true calling." The whale's gentle words stirred something within Jonah. He began to pray, asking for forgiveness and vowing to obey God's command. "I will go to Nineveh," he promised, his heart filled with newfound determination. After 3 days and nights, the whale swam to the surface and gently released Jonah onto the shore. Grateful and transformed, Jonah set off for Nineveh, ready to share God's message of compassion with the people there. When he arrived, Jonah proclaimed, "40 days more, and Nineveh shall be overthrown." To his surprise, the people listened, repented, and turned back to God. They dressed in sackcloth and ashes, demonstrating their sincerity and desire for change. The gentle whale, watching from afar, smiled at Jonah's success. "See how your obedience has led to compassion and transformation," it mused. "You have played a vital role in their redemption." The story of Jonah and the whale teaches us that when we run from our responsibilities or fears, we may find ourselves in dark places. But with reflection and a willingness to listen, we can embrace our calling and make a difference in the lives of others. So, my dear friends, let's remember Jonah's journey and the wisdom of the whale. No matter how far we stray, we can always find our way back through obedience and compassion. Let's be brave enough to follow our paths and help others along the way. A positive message from your feline friends, Blacky, Goldie, and HRH Liz III. We can't wait to whisker you away into parts 1 and 3, where we'll share more perfectly delightful biblical stories of anthropomorphism and God's lessons in faith. Stay tuned for our furry adventures.